So we're harnessing neuroplasticity for education. So it's a brain-based, content-independent pedagogy to directly improve thinking ability. We're targeting frontal executive systems, which are, so we can think of these things as a neural target, or we can think of them as a cognitive target. And for sometimes, some questions, some purposes, it's better to think of a neural target, and I can give you some examples about that later. And other times, it's just as easy to think about it as a cognitive target, even if we're coming at it from a neuroscience perspective. And so these frontal executive systems of the brain support a variety of essential cognitive operations. So we have identified 8 core cognitive capacities just to facilitate communication with the education community and others, and they're listed here. And they're all ones, or most ones, that everybody would associate with executive function. The problem we're trying to help address is that too many children come to school unprepared to succeed. Now, I've already talked to you about the fact that the brain is shaped by experience. So if you don't get a certain type of stimulation, and enough of that type of stimulation, your brain is not going to develop certain core cognitive capacities, and the neural systems are not going to develop. Then you're placed in a situation in school where demands are made of you with that no fault of your own, you're not neurocognitively prepared to meet. And this is not to say that one type of early childhood experience is better than another one, but if we just acknowledge that they're different, and what happens is that children are put in a situation where demands are made of them that their own particular experience didn't help them develop the capabilities for, this sets off a very problematic deviant developmental trajectory. Problematic to the child, self-image, engagement with the whole social education process, to the family, to the school. If you have attention problems when you're 6 years old, you're nearly 8 times as likely never to graduate from high school. And that means underemployment, unemployment, drug use, jail time. All those things go along with not graduating from high school. And the number of children who have a frank diagnosis of ADHD is very high. So this is a problem we're faced with. School in 5 blocks from here, Harlem 125, the principal said to us last year, descriptively, over half my kids have ADHD. Greg Skinner, our operations field director, was there. He made a phone call from the school to us in Connecticut to talk about what was going on in the early days of administration there. We can talk about that, but you all know the reality of some of these schools better than, certainly than I did when we first started this, but this is the problem. Now, I think of our part of the solution as a school lunch program for the brain. Why do I say that? Well, if kids don't get enough physical food before they come to school, they haven't grown as much as they should. And we give them physical nourishment, they actually will grow faster, catch up to their normal growth potential, and if you do when they're young enough, reach their full stature. We're doing the same thing for the brain for kids who come to school without having had the level of stimulation necessary to promote development of these essential neurocognitive systems. We're targeting it and we're feeding that part of the brain with the stimulation it needs to develop.